Good morning, everybody. Tony Amato here from Salmon Trout Steelheader, and today I am in the OC, and I'm not talking the 90210 OC. I'm talking the 97045 for Oregon City, which goes back a few decades before the 90210. Anyway, it's about 6 o'clock here in the morning. I'm down here at the dock of Sportcraft Marina. If you get the itch to go paddleboarding or kayaking, this is a great place to come down and rent some equipment. I'm waiting for David Johnson. He's going to be picking me up in a few minutes, and we're going to be fishing for Spring Chinook. We're also going to be a little bit surrounded by barges and cranes. They are working on the 205 freeway here, adding a couple lanes. I think they're going to put some piers on each side of this big sucker and just widen the trusses. So I don't know if probably won't be right here the whole time, but definitely some traffic on the river. Hey David, how you doing?
Morning.
Good morning. All right, guys. Just hooked into our first fish.
I don't have a rod.
Sweet, you guys. Looks like I was on David's rod. Just like that, we made one pass, pretty much. How's that feel, David? You get to fight fish every day?
Not very often. Get that other rod out.
Yeah, you guys grab that one. That's what the cameraman is lazy about that stuff. Sorry. Thanks.
It's a hot fish.
Fighting hard. Are you gonna give this one for me to take home, David? Oh, where's it going? It's going under. It's going down. Under the boat. Just like that. This is great, you guys. Huh? Can you believe it?
Tony?
Oh, here we go.
Not ready.
It's ready to come in now. Nice, guys. What have we got? Wild?
Yeah, wild. So we're
gonna have to let that one go. Nice fish. Good job, David.
It was a hot one, wasn't it?
Yeah. On the turn, right?
Yep. Get his teeth out of there.
All right. See you later, fish.
There it goes.
Go make some more. We were talking about shooting an intro, but decided to make a pass, and what do you know? Bing, fish on.
First pass fish.
Yeah, just like that. We're all still kind of waking up, getting the sun on us. So, David, why don't you tell us what are we doing right now?
So we'd planned on doing this trip last week and planned on doing some egg fishing. That's what we've been doing really well on all spring. And unfortunately, the high temperatures have brought up the water temperature, and so it kind of changed my plans. I was kind of hoping that we'd at least get a fish today, and that worked out. Our first pass, we picked up one on a pro troll and a spinner. And that's what we're gonna mostly do today, I think, with the water temperatures. We will try some eggs a little bit later, but I wanted to get that first, daylight bite kind of a thing with some pro trolls up here in the deep water. And yeah, like I said, I was hoping we'd at least get one. I was discouraged with seeing how warm the water is, just because it kind of threw me off my game on my egg game. But we'll see. I've got some tricks. I got some warm water eggs that we might try. Hopefully the trash fish won't strip them off too fast. But for now, in the next hour or two, we're gonna do these pro trolls up here in the deep water.
Well, we already had some luck, and today we've got David and Sean right here.
Hello, hello.
Sean apparently went fishing with Nick and David a while back and hooked into, like, I don't know, 20 steelhead or something.
Steelhead.
Yeah, crazy days. Where was that at, David?
Clackamas. That was a few years ago, though.
I was up here a few years back doing some jig fishing for Chinook, and we took a little break and went up close to the falls up here and tossed some spinners, and we had literally like a 8-foot sturgeon just swim right past the boat. Now a lot of people think that those sturgeon are spawning, which I guess maybe they are now, but why don't, hey David, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Right. Traditionally, they never documented sturgeon spawning below Oregon City Falls. It's got a lot of volume and current that they need, but the substrate on the bottom isn't quite right. It's more of a bedrock and basalt, where they need like a cobblestone, which is what's below Bonneville Dam. They test for the eggs of the sturgeon periodically, and they started to find that the sturgeon were spawning here, and it's because of sea lion predation at Bonneville Dam. The sturgeon have relocated some of them to spawn in the less the habitat that's not as good for them, but they're trying to get away from the sea lions. And the way they find those eggs, they put like floor mats like you'd have in front of on your porch to catch gravel and stuff. They sink those on the bottom, and then the sturgeon, they release their eggs into the current, and they fall into those floor mats, and that's how they find those find the eggs. In the natural river, they fall between the cracks in that cobblestone. The sturgeon are spawning here a little bit. It's not ideal. The temperatures aren't quite right. It does have the current. Sometimes it doesn't. And doesn't quite have the right bottom for them, but they're trying to get away from the sea lions on the Columbia.
Dave's been fishing this area his whole life. He grew up not too far from here. Now he lives down at the coast in the Tillamook area. But hey Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on this year in Oregon City, how fishing's been, and how it's different from some of the years in the past?
We've had kind of a mix of conditions. We've had some really, really good conditions with the, cold spring, lots of snow melt, lots of rain in April. And so I started about a month ago, and I started out fishing herring down in the lower river and fished it for about a week and a half or so. And then I ended up moving up here as the water started to warm up. I was looking for that water to be in the 48, 49, 50 degree range to start fishing eggs, and so that's when I moved up and started fishing here, and it's been actually the last several weeks have been fantastic. And then we got this heat wave last weekend, and now we're doing our pro troll and spinner gig here. So yeah, we've seen this before. The Columbia's high and it backed it up, and sometimes some years that ruins the fishery because you lose all the current. Luckily this year we had all the snow melt, which is kind of countering that a little bit. It's also a good thing for the smolts that are on the Willamette. Sometimes when we get that Columbia back up and it becomes Lake Willamette, the smolts have a hard time from the upper Willamette, getting through all the predators and finding their way downstream. And with the high snowpack, that really helps the smolts. So that bodes well for the 3 and 4 years from now. And now we should have good fishing. The falls counts have been really low, and that's a good thing. Anytime the counts jump, then that means there's that many less fish that are a captive audience below the falls here. So they haven't updated it for like 4 or 5 days. I bet you we've had a pretty good push of fish over the last 4 or 5 days. Usually once that water hits about 57, 58, 6, and then it gets into 60, we have a really big push of fish come through, and it's now at 62 degrees. So They're not updating probably because they're counting all those fish. They shoot video recording all weekend, and then they got to go back and count what's on the video plus count what's going over currently. So I'm really curious and can't wait to see actually how many went over, although it's kind of disappointing. But you know, if we get a lot over, then I'll just follow them upstream and fish the tributaries up above the dam.
Hey Sean, so how long have you known David? What was the first trip you went on with David?
My first trip, I used to live on the Clackamas, and I fought to catch a fish on the Clackamas, and my wife bought me a gift certificate to fish with David, and that was, boy, 20 years?
Do you remember that day?
Oh yeah, I remember the day, for sure. We hooked over 30 steelhead on the first day Sean ever fished with me.
Wow. Hey, some people say you can remember every fish you caught. Do you think that's true?
We've had a lot of good trips and a lot of good memories, and I remember a lot of them, that's for sure.
Or what about the triple in the garbage hole?
A triple in the garbage hole.
So
yeah.
the river is dead. There's nothing going on, and it's packed full of boats. And we slide in, and 3 rods go off. The sea lion's coming, and we get 2 of them in, and we get the last one in right before the sea lion.
Yeah.
We've also got David number 2 on board. How long have you known David?
I've known David probably a little less than Sean, probably about 15 years or 16. I'm not really sure.
You remember your first trip you went with him?
Well, I had friends introduce me to fishing here, so I went on a mission to find a good guide. And Dave was the second guide I went out with after doing a lot of homework after the first guide. I did a lot of homework and figured out who I wanted to go out with, and it was Dave. And yeah, I've fished with him now, like I said, about 15, 16 years, all over the place on the coast. And we've been crabbing and done a lot of fishing here in Columbia, the Willamette, and become really great friends. I just remember one of the funniest things that happened was I came out here after going on a guided trip with David. I came out here on my own in my own little boat with my own eggs. You know, it was the first time I was trying to replicate what Dave was doing on his boat. And he was done with his day, and I was coming out. He gave me his Tupperware container that had a little bit of egg juice left of his secret magic cure, and I dipped my eggs in it, and I put it out there behind a diver and caught a fish just by rubbing my eggs in his egg cure.
Wow.
So that was pretty funny.
That's pretty amazing. Do you do that for all your clients?
No, just the good ones.
Another good option in Oregon City is to jig fish. And some of my favorite jigs are these P lines right here. These, I think, are these 3 ounce, David?
There's mostly 3s. There's some 2s. You just gotta match, you know, to the water flow, what size you're using. And yeah, it's something that works usually when the water backs up, like from the Columbia. Water starts to warm up, and they go off the bait bite. Guys will start doing pretty good on jigs. Last week, towards the end of the week, and the water was in the mid-50s, the jig bite kind of went off. Not sure how it was over the weekend, and you know, from what we could see, we were kind of trolling up above here. We couldn't really see where the guys were jigging to see how they were doing. It's hard to see people catch fish on them because you're right above the fish. You're literally only like 20 or 30 feet above the fish, and fish almost seem like they're disoriented and don't even know they're hooked when you hook them and bring them to the boat. You don't see them. I mean, there's so many times where I'll go by another boat and they'll say, yeah, we got one, or I saw 2 caught, and we're like, oh, I didn't see that, you know, because they're to the boat really quick.
You know, too, you know, a lot of these people, they say, oh, you guys are snagging, whatever.
Right.
Totally untrue. I've actually caught a sturgeon in the mouth right here, a walleye in the mouth right here, and 1 shad, believe it or not, on one of these P-line jigs. So these fish, you know, they see that jig fluttering down to the bottom, and that instinct just kicks in instantly, and
It's a
boom.
It's a predatory response, just like a cat and a toy. You know, they just can't help themselves. It's that falling, wounded bait fish action.
So we're gonna go try some eggs right now, and we may or may not do some jig fishing, but it's really big out here, and I highly recommend it. I do it a lot myself. Right up here behind me is downtown Oregon City. I guess you could call it Old Town. I think the city was founded in like the 1850s, maybe the 40s. But there's all kinds of great restaurants. There's a place called Tony's Fish Market. It's kind of a local landmark. There's Cuban restaurants. There's Italian restaurants kind of on the main street here. A lot of historical buildings. The courthouse, I think it's 100+ years old. Gosh, what else can we do? What else can you do in Oregon City right here? You guys?
Pete's Meat Barbecue.
Oh, there.
It's a food cart.
Yeah, there's a bunch of food carts.
Brewery place there.
Yeah.
Pete's Meats. It's good stuff.
Yeah, if you go right by the Tony's Fish Market, there's a bunch of food carts right there.
Right, the elevator, the city elevator.
Yeah, the city elevator. There's a steak place. If you get a chance, you should really spend some time seeing the history and some of the restaurants and breweries. It's a good time, and it's a place that really doesn't expand anymore. Everything that's there is there. It doesn't change. The buildings are old. They get rejuvenated and turn into fun places for the family to hang out and spend some time. So if you do come fishing and you've got the family, maybe do a fish fun trip up here on Main Street. We're gonna switch over and do some egg fishing, and David's cutting up some of his fresh eggs. He just shared with us his favorite recipe for cured eggs.
That was a shame that battery died right when I was telling that secret ingredient.
Look at that yummy stuff. Oh. Yo.
Oh,
You can almost, this is the scratch and sniff episode.
it is.
So if you can scratch,
Smell-o-vision.
if you can scratch,
That's the vintage right there.
if you can scratch, you can sniff.
Oh yeah.
David's setting up some back bouncing rigs and some diver and baits. I think we got some eggs and some sand shrimp. Is that what we got going on right now?
Yep. So we got the
Alright, oh look at those, some fresh ones there moving around. And a little gob of eggs and sand shrimp hooked onto the hook down there at the bottom. This has been your go-to for how many years?
many, many, many years.
So what the heck is that?
Look at these shrimp. Look how beautiful them things are.
So you got your sand shrimp under a bed of seafood salad?
That's right. Can you hold that open for a second?
They look very happy.
Dump a few of them in here.
Nice. Is this David Johnson thing or what?
It is.
Wow. They seem to really like
Close
it.
this in here. Keep them all nice and cold.
Wow. Do they feed on the grass at all?
No,
Do you
just
know,
keeps
or-
them. Just keeps them. From drying out.
This past winter and spring, we got a lot of rain, a lot of snow, and it's melting like crazy actually right now. The river's up, and so I was gonna ask Dave how that affects the smolts and the fishing. And
It's kind of a win-win. The Columbia is running really high right now. I don't think it's quite the flood stage. It's a little bit under, but it's running really good, which is gonna flush a lot of smolts through the system on the Columbia. And some years when we don't have as much rain and snow here in the Willamette Valley, when the Columbia is high like it is now, this becomes a lake. It just gets really slow, and the smolts have a hard time getting through. Predators, disease, they don't have the orientation of where to go if there's no current. And as you can see now, even though the Columbia is back in the Willamette up, there is a lot of flow coming down from the Willamette Valley, all that snow melt from the reservoirs and stuff. So it's a real win-win on the fish. You know, it helps our fishing, you know, catching wise, and it helps the small fish get out to the ocean. It really boosts the numbers. You know, that 96 flood we had, you know, all that snow and all that rain really kind of kicked off the last 25 years of fishing, of good fishing. After that 96, you know, it flushed all the smolts out, and I believe it also helped fertilize the ocean too. All that sediment, a huge plume. If you look, you know, from a satellite, you could see for hundreds of miles, you know, a plume of sediment going out into the ocean. And you know, we've had flood stage all last spring on the Columbia, and close to flood stage now. And I'm looking forward to the next few years of you know, increased smolt survival and increased ocean fertility. And it's happening in California too. And granted, this year, you know, a lot of the ocean's shut down. California fishing for salmon is shut down. And, you know, that's the result of the droughts we had 4 or 5 years ago. But they've had all that rain and all that snow. Those Sacramento fish, the ones that they're releasing now, they're releasing them by the millions, way more than we ever do. Unfortunately, we don't do. They're releasing millions of fish, and those fish are going to get through the Sacramento system and out to the ocean safely as well. So I could see for California and us in the next 3 to 4 years, another really big boost in the fishing.
Yeah, we do. Guys, fish on. All right. Question is,
Still there?
what is it? What do we got?
I can't tell what's going on.
It's heavy.
It's not a heavy salmon because it's coming in now.
You're going to get the net.
Yeah, it's pulling.
Oh no, it's a salmon.
Oh yeah, it is.
All right, you guys, fish number 2 here.
Sucks.
That's a nice chrome piece.
We're going to get this.
It's a small salmon.
Yeah.
Get that rod out of the way.
All right, we got this.
All right.
All right, fish number 2.
Yeah.
Good job, my man, right here.
Thanks.
Skin.
All right. All right.
A hatchery fish
Yeah.
Yeah.
coming on board. Wow, that was like the light bite.
Yeah, it was.
Nice job.
We were just wrapping it up. I mean, I'd reeled in my rod, and I think Sean might have been reeling his in, and we were going to hang it up for the day. And Dave got a kind of a, looked kind of like a pike minnow bite. You know, wasn't quite as snappy as a pike minnow bite, but wasn't quite as pulley as a salmon bite, if that makes sense. But it looked interesting. Then it kind of looked like it went away, and I think it's just because the fish swam up on it. We had kind of a slackline bite, and when Dave started to reel in to check it out, oh, I got a fish on, and it ended up being a keeper springer.
Great day. It's starting to warm up a little bit. I think it's getting to be around noon-ish. And just like that, we got a few taps, like David said, on the line, and David here went to reel it up, and boom, there's this nice chrome bright Spring Chinook. The bonus round, right?
Down the hatch. Yep. If you've ever fished out here in Oregon City, when the fleet's out here fishing with divers and bait, you'll notice about 99% of the people are running blue divers. And I think Bob Toman probably coined the saying, it doesn't matter what color diver you're using as long as it's blue. And you'll see that everybody's running blue. And I agree, blue divers for whatever reason are attractive to the fish. But I'll also throw in a green diver here and there and mix it up. And the fish Dave just caught was on a green one. And the funny thing is, last week when we were fishing, fishing along, and I looked over and I saw something green floating. I said, is that a diver over there, or is that a pop can or something? And somebody else said, I think it's a diver. Well, let's go get it. We reeled up, we went over there, it was a diver, picked it up, and they're like, put it on the line, put it on the line. And we hadn't had a bite all day on divers, and I took off a blue one and put that green one on there. Within 2 passes, we had 2 more fish on that green diver, so it was kind of funny. Maybe it was just giving the fish something different to look at. Maybe it was a good diver because some divers catch more fish than others, or maybe it was luck, but it was kind of a coincidence that immediately we caught 2 fish on that diver.
Let me ask, is there anything on the depth finder right now?
There's nothing on the depth finder, so we got a good chance to catch one.
Oh my gosh.
We were just talking about when you see them on there, you don't catch them, and when you don't see them, you catch them. So, because we just saw a couple go by, and it's like, well.
So you're saying there's a chance?
So I'm saying there's a chance.
We're back where we started this morning at the dock, and it was great to meet David 1 or David number 2, whichever one you want to say. We got Sean right here. Nice to meet you, Sean.
Likewise.
And then boss man David Johnson that got us into a couple fish.
Yeah.
That was awesome, David. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I was. I'm happy with 2 fish. We hardly saw any caught. 5 fish besides ours, and under these conditions, I'll take 2 fish any day.
Yeah, once you get out in the hot sun and in the morning, and everything kind of feels fishy right when that sun's coming up and it's a little chilly out. But once it gets to be like this, it's like, I don't know, time to get the jet ski out. But hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Salmon Trout Steelheader Magazine and Great Lakes Angler Magazine. These guys behind me are making a bunch of racket because they're fixing the bridge. Hopefully they'll be done soon. And don't forget, if you get a chance, definitely come down to Oregon City here in Old Town. It's right here along the river. It's got some great restaurants, good times. Once you get done fishing, you can jump out of the boat and go grab some lunch. Go to Tony's, get some fresh crab, grab a beer maybe. Good times.